Hey there, you doers. I want to show you how I replaced the batteries on my 24-volt Worx lawnmower. I bought this lawnmower probably about 15 years ago, and I'd say about 4 years into it, the battery stopped charging completely, and I realized I needed to replace the battery. So I'm going to show you how I replaced the battery, and I've replaced it a few times over the past few years. So the powertrain, the Worx Powertank, which works very well for me, it's just the battery runs out, they wear out in terms of recharging. It consists of a 24-volt battery system, and it comes in a case like this, which is normally sealed by screws, closed by screws, and you wouldn't think about opening it. And the way that this works is you can, the way it charges conveniently is there's a plug here that you plug the charger in, and it tells you the charging level. So, and you plug in the plug here to the lawnmower, and it runs and it works. And so when my battery started going low, and not charging properly, I figured out that I could open this battery pack, the case. So when I opened it, what I found out was basically it consisted of a couple of sealed lead acid batteries, and the ones that were in here were actually green, and these are 18 amp hour batteries each, but the ones that were in here were less. I don't remember what the amount were, but they were also smaller, which is why I can't close this, which is fine with me because the way I charge it now requires me to open it. So basically this cap is loose now, so you have to be careful because now the batteries are exposed. So I'm always very careful. If you look at this wiring in here, this is how the recharger works normally when it's not changed the way I did it. And there's a circuit board, and when you plug it in, you plug in the battery plug here. Conveniently, it recharges, and you can see the status by pressing here. It doesn't work anymore because I've disconnected these wirings, but it all charged the battery using this wiring, and that's how I monitor the charge. Well, since then, my charger broke. I was doing that for a while, just using the charger itself that came with it. But then eventually that charger broke, and so the wiring broke, so I had to figure out another way to do it. So let's talk about how I replaced the batteries here. First of all, I went and I purchased new batteries, and I couldn't find batteries that were the same height. As you can see, the batteries fit in width perfectly, and so what I buy now is 12-volt, 18 amp hour batteries. In fact, these might be 20 amp batteries, because I look at the width and the length and see if they fit, and they fit perfectly. So I actually think these are 20 amp batteries. So then in terms of the wiring, so what I did was I mimicked the wiring that was already in there. I took pictures of it and I matched it exactly. And as you can see here, the way it's wired is there's two 12-volt batteries in series, so it makes a 24-volt total battery. So you don't want to touch the positive and negatives on the batteries. You want to do that in general, so be careful. Don't wear any chains or things like that, but don't touch the two poles ever with your hands or metal other than a charger. So just be very careful when you're working around this. That's why having this cap loose, it's got to be extra careful. So the way I put it together was what was new to me was this item right here. And so that is a fuse, like 100 amp fuse, and I didn't know, I can't really explain to you what that does, but again, I was copying exactly how this was built, and that fuse was kind of all rusted up and stuff, and I couldn't, or something, it was just damaged, and I had to replace it. At first, I think I was able to keep it, but eventually it just got into bad shape, and so I I figured out what it was. I just scoured the internet. I don't know how I found it, but eventually I found it. And the one that I bought was made by a company called Little Fuse Inc. I think it is, and I think their product number is 0498100M. And the company, so if you do a web search, you should find that. And then the company I bought it from was a company called DigiKey, and I think if you do a search, you'll see that entry. Not saying you have to buy it from them, I'm just saying that's who I bought it from. So that's what I bought. Just make sure it matches what you have already. And so I just installed that like this, and you can see my wiring. I go from the plug right here. This is where the plug plugs in here, right? So the positive, I put these in here, these little blocks, to keep the cap from putting too much pressure on the wiring. So it goes from the positive to the positive pole here, which then goes to the negative pole, crosses to the other positive pole through this 100 amp fuse, and then it comes out the negative pole, and which then comes back here, which then comes back here. So that's how I wired up. And some other key learnings is, in the winter, if you have cold weather, I would either store them somewhere warmer, the lawnmower, or you'll have to lift these up, or disassemble them or lift them up, somehow get it out, because now it's not connected, so I can no longer use this handle to pull it out. Or else just on occasion, just come back, reconnect your charger just to keep it charged up, because I think taking care of your batteries is key. I think I replaced these last summer. Pay about $36 to $40 a piece, so about 80 bucks. I think they probably last about 3 years for me. And then I have to replace them or have to recharge them more often. But they still charge up. It just becomes a little bit more of a hassle. You have to charge them up more often. But these ones, I think these are 20 amps, amp hour batteries, so that makes a slight difference. And they're the same size. So then how do I charge it? Like I told you, my charger broke. So I bought a charger. There's different types of chargers. You probably know some more popular brands, but I bought this one. It's a Next Peak. I don't know if I bought this on Amazon, I believe, but there's similar brands. I think just like a private label kind of charger. But I really like this charger. It's very easy to use, and the thing I like about it, as you can see, it's a 12 volt, 24 volt intelligent pulse repair charger. So what that means is, if I connect my wiring, and I'll show you here, if I connect my wiring to this, and it'll actually show you the voltage here, but if I connect the positive here to battery 1, to the negative of battery 2, which means I'm going to get a total of 24 volts. You'll see a spark there, right? So now, if I plug this in, it's not plugged in right now, but it's still showing the charge, and there's 24.7 volts, and there was about 12.3 volts, 35 volts each, which I have to recharge. I've been using this. But if I plug this in, it'll charge at 24 volts. It knows it's 24 volts. However, if I say disconnect this, let me move this piece of wood here. If I disconnect this and plug it directly into the 12 volts to itself, you'll see it's 12.3. Okay, so what I mean by that is this charger can charge the batteries separately or together, and sometimes I've charged them separately, especially if they're different batteries. Like sometimes I end up mixing because I buy a replacement battery for one and not the other, which isn't the best thing to do. I think in general you want to replace the battery at the same time, but in case where I've done that, I've recharged them separately, or sometimes I just experimented. But the beauty of the 12 volt, 24 volt is you can use it for 12 volt batteries and 24 volt batteries. But it's not a review of this. This is not like I'm reviewing this or recommending this. I personally have had great experience with it and I like it. There's ones that look similar to this. I'm guessing they're all similarly built, just different distribution. So it has a 7-state charge. You can look that all up. But again, originally this battery, this Worx, came with its own little plug-in battery, which was simpler. But that ended up breaking, so I just bought this. So when I recharge it, I reattach it like this carefully. I reattach the wiring and like this, and then I plug it in, and then it runs through the cycle. I select the battery type, which these are sealed lead acid batteries. And so then I recharge the battery. So hopefully that was helpful to you. So again, let me just unplug this here. If you have a Worx lawnmower, sealed lead acid battery, I don't have a lithium lawnmower. This is how I replaced it. Just be very careful anytime you're dealing with electricity or batteries. And then when you get rid of the old batteries, you should bring it to an automotive store or somewhere else, other battery store, to get rid of it. Do not throw them in the trash. Make sure they get recycled properly. All right, so that's it. Hopefully this was helpful to you. You doers, always be careful when you're doing stuff like this. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't do it. Read about safety and electricity. Research these fuses. Look at the wiring. If you end up replacing any wire, make sure it's the same gauge and quality. I just used electrical tape to prevent it from, as you can see, this motion, can cause this to start wiggling loose and separating. So you got to look out at all those things. I had actually put in some tape to keep this from falling too far back, but obviously it came out. So, just be careful, how you treat this. I taped this down so it doesn't move anymore. And then here I taped it together a little better. I put these on here to keep anything from compressing the wiring. Or you could, I think, maybe you can find the replacement. I think they're hard to find now because everything's going to lithium batteries. I'm not sure how much better the lithium batteries are. I'm pretty pleased. I'm pretty pleased with this sealed lead acid battery life. All right, you doers, if this is helpful, please like this video and please subscribe. And my goal is to help you keep getting things done. And if there's anything you would like to that you're working on, or that you'd like to learn how to do, or what maybe I've done before, just leave a comment and I can take a look, and maybe I can create a video for you. All right, have a safe day, always be safe, and let's get things done.